pause it for a second. Number one is a situation where they're giving us equations. Corbin, did you get this one? These are functions. What is it? It is almost have it right. The problem with D is that the slope that they gave you was $25. And if we were to use this function right here, they would be charging us, the slope is 25, which is $25 per hour. And this one says that the slope is 25 cents per hour. So it is, which one? C is correct. Now, what I'd like you guys to do with this is I want you to identify this thing is our monthly fee. I call that the starting point or the y-intercept. It's sometimes called the B value or the starting point, and then 25 cents for every hour that goes by. So the way I would write it is y equals mx plus b, and our cost is going to be 25 cents per hour plus the $5. Now what you'll notice is that they put it out of order, didn't they? They went the other way. It still was the correct one. Now, I think I got C right, and I'm pretty sure. I'd put a check on it because I'm pretty sure it's correct. One way to check your answer is to say, pick a certain number of hours. How many hours that you're going to play? Any number, it doesn't matter. 100 hours. So you play for 100 hours, it's going to cost $25, isn't it? Pretty clear? If you play for 100 hours, it'll cost 25 plus the original 5. So it's going to cost you $30 for 100 hours. Well, what you can do is put this point into this equation and make sure it gives you the right answer. And you're absolutely sure 100 hours costs $25 plus 5 more makes 30, and I'm very sure. In fact, 0 hours costs exactly $5, doesn't it? Which means these two are absolutely wrong, and I know why this one's wrong, so I'm going to put a star by it. Now, what I wanted to demonstrate is how you upgrade your answer from maybe a check up to 2 checks up to a star. The reason you want to put these on all of your answers is people who go back and look at their test again at the end, almost always when they change an answer, they almost always change it from a right answer to a wrong answer. And the reason they do that, have you ever noticed that you look more at your test, you're always looking at the ones that you got right? If you're only looking at the ones you got right and you're looking at your test, you're going to second guess yourself. This will force you to look at the ones that you missed. Maybe put a question mark by them. Hopefully you wrote the equation for number 2. We have 6 packs of juice and individual juices. There were 29 sold, and they sold a total of 281. If you didn't write that equation, go ahead and write the equation for me and solve it. So the juice comes in packs of 6, and then they sold 29 individual ones, and they had 281 total. What's our first step to solve it? Here, I'm going to give somebody a chance. Let's give some points out. Remember to add my points when I do your grades next time. Corbin, you're the first one up. What's my first step on this guy? Yep, minus 29 on both sides. 2 points for that. And they left it like this, didn't they? So I'm going to leave it like that. I have 6p is equal to 281 minus 29. I could subtract it, but they didn't do it. Other step, Diana's not here. How about Bruce? What's the next step?
You divide
by
29.
Good, I get. No, 6 by 6. Yeah, divide by 6, and you're done. Now, I would say I'm about 90% sure that I'm right. And I would put an A, and I would actually put 2 checks on it. The only way I'd put a star is if I actually figured out how many this is and then went back to the question and made sure it actually worked out. I think this works out to be like 42. And then I would take the 42 times the 6 and add the 29 and see if it actually worked. Anyway. Number 3 might be one of the easiest questions on the test. I'd say it's probably the 3rd or 4th easiest out of all of them. Read the question. We're looking for the biggest change. One thing they kind of missed up on is that they should have put 5 inches for one of the distractors. You see why? Some people are just going to count the number of spaces, aren't they? Do y'all see why this would have been a good distractor? That's not the right answer, of course, but it would make a good distractor on this. What were the 2 months that changed the most? Consecutive months, sorry. September to October. They have to say consecutive because it would actually be from this one to this one was the most change, right? But consecutive means they have to be next to each other. And how far did it go down? 2.5. They said it's absolute value, but I am absolutely sure. And I do not want to go back to this one. I just want to put my answer on and I want to just move on. And I want to have a star on it so that I don't mess with it. Y'all clear on that? That's why I do that classification thing. Everybody should know the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle. Just add up all the sides. Anthony, what's the formula for that? Add up all the sides. Anthony? Perimeter of a rectangle. Add up all the sides. Somebody else? Volunteer? Perimeter of a rectangle? 2L plus 2W. Now, I want to get L by itself. This is sometimes called solving for a variable. Sometimes they call these literal equations. And I'm just going to solve for L. I'm going to reevaluate this. I'm going to solve for L in terms of W and P. And my first step, Brandon's not here. How about, oh, Xavier's in a different class now. How about Dylan? What's my first step? Good idea. I can't subtract L because it's being multiplied by 2. And I could divide everything by 2, but a better option is to start with subtraction. I want to get rid of this 2W. So I'm going to subtract 2W from both sides, like that, and get the 2L by itself. So I have P minus 2W is equal to 2L, and I want to get L by itself. Fernando, what do I do next? Divide by? On both sides, of course. So just divide by 2 on both sides, and we say that we have solved for L in terms of P and W. And you'll have your equation and you'll see it. I really, really love number 5. How many people know how to solve this system? Okay, a few. Most people are going to get lost. The way you solve this, multiply the top equation by 2 and add them together and it'll get rid of the y's. Or you multiply the bottom equation by -2 and add them together and get rid of the x's. But you don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is figure out which one makes them both true. So I'm going to substitute this numbers x and y into the first equation. 2x minus y equals 6, and I'm going to put this numbers into this equation. So x is negative 6, and y is 2. Is that true? 2 times negative 6? Multiplying. Negative 12 minus 2 is negative 14. That is not 6. A is out, and I'm a quarter of the way done already. Actually, more like a third of the way done, because I've only got to test 2 more, right? Well, check this next one, B. 2 times. I hope you guys see why I like this so much. You can be absolutely certain you're right when you get the right answer. What about this one? Negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6. That is not 6. B is out. Try the next 2 yourself and see if they work. Be careful, though. Don't just pick the first one that you come to that works, because you have to test them in both equations, right? Two times. I think that's 2 minus negative 2. That is 4 minus negative 2. See that double negative makes a plus? This is true. So C is a possibility. What about D? Is that true? 2 times 4 is 8, minus 2 is 6. So C and D are still on the table. Did anybody notice anything interesting about D, that they were both positive? And that both of these are positive in the second equation? There's no way you're going to get a negative from D, but I'm going to put it in anyway. X plus 2y equals negative 2. And if I put the D in there, x is 4 plus 2 times 2 is 8. And that certainly is not negative 2, so D is out. Now, how sure am I? Pretty sure. I would say 2 checks worth. The only way I would put a star is if I actually put the numbers into the second equation and make sure. Got it? All right. Well, both of these problems can be done using dimensional analysis. And I'm going to go ahead and change the 500 gallons to ounces using my conversion. So I have 500 gallons. And I'm going to change it to ounces. Remember, when you do dimensional analysis, you want to put the units you want to get rid of below them, so I can get rid of the gallons. And I want to get ounces, so I put the ounces in the top so that the gallons cancel out. Which one gets the 1? Gallons and how many ounces? Now, when I multiply that, it's going to get rid of my gallons. I realize some of you can do some of these in your head and just reason them out, and that's fine if you can do that without doing the dimensional analysis. But sometimes this is really nice, especially if you have the time to check them. That's going to be 64,000 ounces. Is that the answer? 64,000? I would have put that as a distractor if I was making the test. We want to fill 20-ounce bottles, so 20 ounces in each bottle gives you a total of 64,000 ounces, and you're going to divide by 20 and find your answer. This one I really like. I'm going to start by writing 80 miles in 1 hour. Now, this is only a guess. I may have this upside down. And the only way to tell is once I finish my dimensional analysis, what am I supposed to end up with when I finish this thing for number 7? Take a look at the question and see what it says. So I want to end up with gallons. There's no hours in the problem, so I'm going to get rid of hours by multiplying them. What this tells you is that on his trip, 80 times 3, 240 miles. Got it? Now I've got miles and I want gallons. So it goes in the top. Which one goes in the bottom, guys? Miles or gallons? Oh, I lost it. Yeah, miles goes in the bottom because you want to get rid of them. Hey.
Oh. Diana and Ezekiel real quick.
Oh, sure.
For a second, just
Oh, yeah, Diana's not here, but Ezekiel's right there. Yeah. Huh. It's not liking me today for some reason. Let me see if I can get it to come back. I don't know why it went out. I think somebody might have had their phone on or something. There we go. Okay. So, y'all see the miles? I promise you're going to like this because if you follow along, I had miles, 34 miles per gallon, and I want gallons. Why? Because a lot of people missed today, about half all of my classes. So which one gets the one, folks? Gallons or miles? What do you think? It's 34 miles per gallon. Gallon gets the 1 and 34 miles, and the miles cancel out. All you have to do is multiply your numbers and you'll get it. I know some of you who are familiar with figuring out mileage are going to be able to do this without even thinking about it. It's just going to be really obvious. But for the people who don't have a lot of practice with working out mileage or something, this does make it easier. It's 240 divided by 34. What'd you get? Take the 80 times the 3 and divide by the 34. What'd you get? 240, and then you got to divide the 34 because it's in the bottom. I got about a little over 7, but it's really close to 7. Now, for me, I would put a D and a check mark. To check it, you could always take the 7 gallons and see how far you can go. See if you can actually go the 240 miles. There's a reason, guys, that I put the letter next to the number. How many of you have ever accidentally done this? You did this one, and then you put this one, and then you put this one, and then you put this one, even though they're not numbered that way. Have you ever noticed that they sometimes change the numbering on you? And you fill them in? What if you skip a question, and then you put number 7 in number 6, and then number 8 in number 7, and yada, yada, yada? I've actually done that, and instead of getting like a 90 like I was supposed to on the test, I got a 50. And the reason was because those scanners will count them wrong about half the time when you change the answer, even if you erase it really, really good. You ever watch the murder mystery things? The people who clean the blood up, and then they paint over it, and then they come in with the Lumilite, and it's still there? Yeah. When you erase your answers, the answer sheet thing will still sometimes count it wrong because they think you put in 2 answers. You see what I mean? Just, you don't want to do that. All right. Kind of a tough question here because it's got fractions in it. So you got a calculator, change them to decimals. And I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to graph it. Oh, okay. You're ahead of me. You're good. I figured. This point is at -2.5. And the -1/2 is -0.5. Now I'm going to show you why I graph them. -2.51, that's this one right here, guys. I just divided my fraction. Is right, -2.51 is right there. -0.54 is right there. A lot of times, if they give you points and they don't give you a graph, there's a reason. It would give away the answer, right? Y'all see what I mean? Isn't that a positive? Does everybody see this is positive right here? It's a positive slope. Which is it closer to, 1 or 3/2? 1, 2, 3/2. Sure looks like 3/2 to me. I could still put it in my equation and check it and everything to make sure. Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The top part is easy. Subtract my y's. Did y'all see I put an arrow on that when I subtract? It's so that, have you ever subtracted out of order? You get the wrong sign. You always have to make sure you go in the same direction. If I subtract the other way, I'll get the wrong sign. I want -0.5 minus -2.5. There's a double negative there. I'm guessing you can probably take 4 minus 1 with no trouble, but this one looks kind of tough. I'm going to use my calculator for it. And I'm going to put in -0.5 minus -2.5. And I get 2. By the way, you could have put your fractions in. Still get the same answer. You still get the 2. Now I'm sure. Looks like that on my paper. I always put I put a capital letter next to the number, and I put a star if I'm sure. How many people answered number 9 already? Literally 5-second question. Read the question. If you even have any idea what they're talking about, you're going to get it right. It's really, really easy. Line of best fit. Furthest one away. Done. By the way, that's a really bad line of best fit. But oh well. It should have been lower. It definitely should have been here. That is much better. Half on the top and half on the bottom, more or less. Don't forget that they're looking for the width of the envelope, I think. Yeah, the width. That's what they're asking for. A good idea is to actually circle the question when you have a chance. Because even though they didn't do it on this one, I would have added this extra distractor. I would have put E If I were writing this question for my students, if I were writing this for you, I would have put the 4, because some people are going to look at the height, aren't they? Instead of the width, and not answer the question asked. So be careful. Number 10 is kind of a trick question. You have to know, first of all, what 65% looks like. There's one way to write it. You guys know that this used to be written like this. And of course, this thing could be written like this. So I can also write it 65 cents. Now, one of these is the total number of games they played, and they won exactly 65% of their games. So I'm going to take 65% of each of these and see which one looks possible. Try it. Of means multiply, so we just multiply the percentage to get 65%. I'm going to start with 22. And see what I get. Did they win 14.3 games? I don't think so. What am I looking for? 22 didn't work. Try the others and see which one works out for you. I think you'll figure it out. I'll give you a minute to do that, then I'll look at number 11. Oh, by the way, the distractor I would add to this one if I were writing the test would be 65, wouldn't you? In case somebody's running along and they see 65. All right. This one looks really hard, and I spent a long time explaining it in the other classes. But eventually, after my third try of this, I realized all you had to do is put labels on that point, and you're done. All you have to do is label that point. Label the X, label the Y. 11,0 is a solution to the equation up above. And if you label the solution, you'll know what it means. Try it. 11, it's not dogs, by the way. And 0, something. If you label them, you'll know the answer, I promise. Try it. These are the X's, these are the Y's. Six, 9. How about 8 left? Where'd Nate go? Yeah, right back. Baby's not here either. How about Millie? 11 what? It certainly is not cats. 11 days, yep. Days since they started the promotion. What about the 0? Let me see. I'm going to pick on somebody. Lexi. 0 what? 0. What is the Y? What does the Y represent? Read what it says Y is. The remaining free samples, right? So does that answer it? it really is helpful to label real points. Now, what I did was I subtracted the 110x so that I could make sense of what was really happening. Take a look at what I did. I subtracted the 110x and I got y equals 1,210 minus 110x. Can everybody see that this equation is a lot better than the one up above? Because it tells me what they started with and then they gave away 110 every day. Does that make sense? Hopefully you got it. Number 12 is probably the second easiest problem on the test. It says, which of the scatter plots shows a negative association that is not linear? Isn't A a negative association? It's going down. Is it linear? Looks pretty linear to me. D doesn't look like it has any association at all. C is not linear. C is a parabola, isn't it? But they want it to be a negative association. Do you guys recognize this? Has a name. You guys have been studying well, the freshmen have. Exponential functions. This is exponential decay, guys. This is how much radioactive material will be left. And it goes down, but it never quite gets to zero exactly. B is definitely the one we like. Okay. Median, huh? Median. Mean is the average, so what's the median? You ever heard of that thing in the street called the median? Yeah. Where they have it raised up and they put trees in it and stuff? It's the middle. I want the value that's in the middle of the 26 pyramids. It's actually going to be between the 13th and the 14th one. It's going to be the median. But this is a frequency table. It says that the first two pyramids, the smallest two, are between 15 meters and 30 meters high. Then there's 3 of them that are between 30 and 45. There's 12 of them that are between 45 and 60, and so on. The whole trick to this is to locate the middle of all this. Can you all see the gray lines here, or the gray area? Look, I'm going to divide this in half. Half of it is going to be on one side and half's going to be on the other. I'm going to divide it right about here. Can everybody see that this and these are about equal to these? Another way to look at it, here's 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This 14th one is right about here. So it's going to be between these two. The average would be slightly higher, though. The average would be a little bit different because, do y'all see how it's skewed over here? That these are extra big over here? That would make your average go bigger. So your average would actually be bigger than the median. Some people would actually have to do the math to figure that out. But if you can see that this one is way out here away from the others, it's going to skew it that direction a little bit. Anyway. Now, yeah. In a normal PSAT, what's going to happen? You're going to get really easy problems. Easy problems. Then you're going to get medium problems. And about this time, they're going to get real hard. And normally on a PSAT or an SAT, this one restarts the whole process all over again. In fact, usually the easiest problem on the test is right here. It just so happens that they messed this one up for some reason. They did not put the easy problem here. This is a really hard one, but I'm going to show you the trick for it anyway. Go ahead and read the question and see if you can figure out what VW is, and then I'll show you how you can get there. This is a really hard one. If it was multiple choice, it would be pretty easy because we would just figure it out based on where it looks like. I need to know this exact value right here. So as soon as baby gets back. All right, take a look, guys. How far did I go up from here? Where am I at, by the way, on this on the y-axis right here? It tells me. Aren't I at -9? How much did I go up to get to here? I went up 8 and over how far? Up 8 over 2? Can you tell me what point is 8 up here and over 2? By the way, they did not draw this to scale. They should have had a not drawn to scale down here. They kind of messed up their scale a little bit. What value is 8 up and 2 over? What's my x value? 4, yep. And 8 up from -1 is 7, that's right. That one is not 4, 7. Go up another 8 and over 2 more. See where you're at. I go up from 7, 8 more, and 2 over. What's my x value for this? 6, and I went up 8 from here. I went up 8 and over 2. Up 8 gives me 15, yeah. They ask for V, and I'm done. I know for sure that I can't go up 8 more because this is 19 and it's below that. So I know it has to be, it could be 615. It could be the in between though, couldn't it? Up 4 and over 1. Do y'all see what could be at 11 maybe? But I felt like it was 15 because this is 19 and it looks like it's in the right place. Anyway. Okay, I'm going to show you one more. Read the question and see if you can make sense of it. This is a system of equations that you're supposed to solve. But there's an easy way to solve systems of equations. Remember when you were in 5th or 6th grade and you did the coin problems? Like they told you how much money you had and they said you have nickels and dimes and you just tested it, check and try it, trial and error. Remember doing that? They'd say dimes and quarters, dimes and nickels, and then they gave you the total. They told you how many coins to use, so you just guessed. You said, okay, so many of these, so many of those. Try that. It works on this one really well. Give it a try. I wouldn't have called them sections. I would have called them groups, wouldn't you? Kinda. Groups seems more appropriate in this case, but they called them sections. Got 78 students, and there's either 2 or 4. I decided to try the middle one. I actually did it this way before, and I thought I had the right answer on the first try. 12 groups of pairs and 12 groups of 4. Will that give me enough for the students? $24 plus 48. How many? $72, but it says I have 78 students. Do I need more or less groups of 4? Do y'all see that this is 12 and 12 makes 24 sections in all? So do I need more groups of 4 or more groups of 2? More groups of 4. I'll try 2 more. 14 groups of 4, and I'm only going to have 10 groups of 2. Or sections. Try that. Oh, almost there. I think you can probably figure out where that's going and make sure you answer the question asked. And they love to do these kinds of problems like this one, where they give you this graph that the average person would never be able to interpret or understand very well. This is distance in megaparsecs to the nearest galaxy, or to the galaxies, and the velocity in kilometers per second that they're moving away or toward us. If it's a negative velocity, it's moving toward us, I'm assuming, and a positive velocity would be away from us. I would guess most of the galaxies are moving away from us because the universe is expanding. Just on an average, I would say, in general, galaxies are going to be moving away more than they're going to be moving toward us. Universe expanding. At any given point that you go inside that expanding universe, generally stuff's going to be moving away from everybody else. The only galaxies that would have things moving toward them at all would be the ones on the outer fringes. Anyway, see if you can figure this one out. Number 23. Read what it says. Take a look at the graph. These are sometimes a little hard to get. The good news is 24, you just have to read the graph and make a judgment call. There are 4 galaxies shown in the graph that approximately 0.9 megaparsecs from Earth. Can you find 0.9 megaparsecs and find the 4 galaxies? These are in megaparsecs. I want 0.9, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Y'all know the range is how far apart things are from the biggest to the smallest? So the range goes from here to here. How far is that in velocity? How far is it from here to here? It certainly isn't 450. Bigger than 450, isn't it? It's really not that hard if you can interpret the question. Of course, 24 requires you to really do some major thinking. They want 15 megaparsecs. Do y'all see that there's no anywhere close to 15 anywhere on there? I'm going to use this one. Read that one and see if you can figure out how I can find 15. .5 goes with a velocity of around 750. Yeah? But you see that? And it looks like it's part of that best fit line, doesn't it? So it looks like 750. It's right in the middle there. Looks like it's about 750. So what's going to happen at 15? You can figure it out. All right. Yeah, it's going to be 10 times as big. So we're expecting that. All right. Make sure your name's on it. If you haven't filled them out yet, go ahead and fill in your bubbles on the big side with whatever ones you can get. We're going to staple your bubble sheet to the front.